ready for your next video interview? Videos interview are happening more and more often. And if you haven't done one yet, most likely you're going to be doing one very soon. Today I have Karine with me. She is an experienced recruiter, more than 10 years experience. And we're going to talk about why video interviews, how to prepare for them, the main things you should keep in mind when you're doing a video interview, and what is behind the scenes, what recruiters really think about when they are interviewing a candidate using a video, just like we are doing now. So Karine, thank you very much for joining my YouTube channel. You're very welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. So yeah, my name is Karine Canha. I'm a Brazilian recruiter. So I am actually a recruiter for about 10 years now. I don't want to reveal my age, but yeah, that's me. So I live in Ireland for about 5 years, and I've been working the recruitment area over here as well. So I can bring some experience from Latin American recruitment and also here in Europe. So I've recruited for different countries here in Europe.
Nice.
And yeah, so I'm excited to bring some tips for the candidates, because as you said, I think it is becoming very common to have the virtual interviews more than ever. So yeah, I believe we're going to have a great topic to talk about.
And why is that? Why is this a tendency? More and more online virtual interviews. Why do you think this is happening?
I really think the remote activities are becoming very common at the moment. So we know with this pandemic right now, a lot of people are working remotely. But even before that, like you are a remote worker, I am actually a remote worker as well for about 2 years. So we know that this is a tendency, right? So companies want to have the best person to work for them, and doesn't matter where they live.
Yeah.
And with the virtual interviews, we can see that companies are actually trying to expand the horizons as well. So trying to interview people and regardless the place that they live. So it is a cost effective, right? So the candidates, they don't need to spend money to go to the interview. They don't need to waste time as well, you know? So I'd say that it's a good advantage for both, for the companies and for the candidates. So we can save time and we can save money all together.
Yeah, I have been doing online interviews since 2014, more than 6 years. So this is something that is booming now, but it has been a reality for me. I remember sometimes I was doing like 18 interviews per day online, and I had people from all over the world. So this is something that was happening already, and it got more clear now, more evident now. But it is a practice that I'm pretty sure that is going to stay forever or for a longer time. And the fact that it saves money and it saves time for both parts definitely make a difference. But people still feel kind of uncomfortable with online interviews, virtual interviews. This is new for a lot of people. They don't know how to prepare before, or if they need to do something different than they would do for another interview. So can you help us a bit with that, Karine? Like how to prepare for an online interview? How to nail it?
Yeah, obviously. So when we talk about like preparing for a video interview, and I want to actually to bring that we sometimes say VC, so instead of video interview, so for people to be familiar with that as well. So to prepare for a VC interview, it's pretty much a similar process of face-to-face interview, but obviously like there are some specifics, right?
Like what?
Yeah, like I know some people are not quite used to this type of selection, so I've got some tips here to help.
Amazing.
So yeah, let's go for the basics, right? So if we are preparing for a virtual interview, obviously like we need to think about the space that we are gonna bring, right?
The environment.
Yeah, the environment. Because if you are going to a face-to-face interview, obviously that is not something you as a candidate need to prepare, because the space is there for you.
Yes.
But when you come for a virtual interview, that is something up to you to prepare and to make sure everything is ready for you, right? So I really believe if you find a good place for an interview, that can lead you to success. So choose a place that is light, that is not dark, so there is no distractions, like a quiet environment. And talking about distractions, that is very important, because you won't be distracted, and obviously like the interviewer they won't be distracted either, you know. So you can both talk to each other and pay attention in what matters, right? That is the interview.
Yes.
So another example would be like a background for you. So the same as I have here. So a white wall behind you, just so people can concentrate in yourself, in what you have to say. Right?
I know that my background is not the best, so pay attention to her and not my background. But okay.
That is the right, that is the wrong one.
Plan that to have two examples, you know, that was all planned.
So you don't need to be creative at this stage, right? So we know that there are a lot of funny backgrounds now for Zoom, but try to keep it straight and clear. So a white background won't do any harm, okay?
Exactly. Listen to her, not to me.
Yeah, please. And another tip is like to prepare your equipment. So choose your equipment very wisely. So at the company that I work, so I'm actually a technical recruiter, so I work for the technical space. And at Milestone, the company that I work, one of our advice is always to use a laptop fully charged or a desktop, okay? So cell phone, we actually do not recommend because when you use computer, I believe it's easy for you to connect, for example, your headphones, and also you can keep a steady focus when you are using the camera. Because if you have your cell phone with you and you are holding with your hands, sometimes you are gonna bounce a little bit, so it's hard to look at in the camera. So it's very helpful if you have like a steady focus that you can just look and talk to the person in front of you, okay?
Yes.
And talking about the camera, remember to place it in a way that the interviewer will be able to see your face clearly and your mouth as well, okay? So don't use like a big headphone with external mic, for example, because the interviewer wants to see your mouth. So we actually discussed this earlier about the body language, right? So when you are doing a virtual interview, it's hard for them to read your body language. They don't see the way you are sitting. They don't see how you place your hands, right? So it's very important to smile at the person, to be friendly, to look them in the eyes so they know that you are paying attention and you are actually in the interview, okay? So that is very important. So remember, like the camera is yourself, so use it in your favor. And another tip actually that is very helpful, don't use a Bluetooth headphone because you can lose your connection in the middle of the interview. Imagine. So just go with the basics, so with the cord. Yeah, that's it. So use like a normal traditional headphone for you, you know, so you can concentrate in the interview. Close all the applications that you have so you won't be interrupted by any notifications, by your phone. So
that can be very distracting, right? You lose your track because of a noise, a buzz, and you can prepare for those things. Everything that you said can be done and should be done before, with anticipation. So at the interview time, you're already focused, you're already relaxed and concentrate because you took care of all those things previously.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. So remember, like when we are preparing for an interview, right? So it can be either face-to-face or virtual interview. So what we want to do is to manage our stress. And as we know, if we prepare ourselves, if we have a plan, if we organize, we can manage our stress. So this is actually in our life, right? Not only in an interview, but especially in an interview, we know that candidates, they can be a little bit stressed out. So even the interviewers, so sometimes they are as well a little bit anxious, you know, so it's good to manage all the expectations.
Yeah, amazing.
And so as a final tip, that I'd like to bring is to prepare yourself. So as we said, think about the image you want people to have about you. So that is very important. So think about the clothes that you are wearing. So choose an appropriate clothes. So as it is a virtual, as it is a face-to-face interview, right? So you have to think about the image the company is gonna catch about you. So that is
Yes.
very important, like the makeup that you use, the way your hair is going to be, you know, and obviously like do your research about the company. So you need to understand what is this company about, the clients that they have, the type of services that they provide, the environment that they offer for the employees, so the culture of the company, right? So these are some things that it is not outdated. So please keep this in mind.
Yeah,
And
I get this question a lot. Candidates, they say like, how should I dress for the interview? Well,
yeah,
get to know how the company is, the culture. Are they more informal? Are they more formal? How do you know that? Check their website. You get some idea about the image that they shared, about the videos and all of that. You can also ask the recruiter. If you spoke to a recruiter previous the interview with the hiring man, you can easily ask this question. What do you recommend about the dressing code? So recruiters are fine with sharing this information, but definitely what you show on the video will make an impact, and you should be strategic about it. You should plan about it also. Yeah,
that's right. That's right. And even LinkedIn is a great way as well to understand a little bit the company culture.
Yeah.
So if you go, for example, and check the LinkedIn pictures of people working over there, you are gonna see, okay, so maybe they have
everybody's using a suit, they're more formal, or they are informal. Yeah, that gives you a lot of hints. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yes, great.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, amazing tips. Yeah.
Yeah, so that is one of the things. And another point that actually that is a funny one, because people actually are sometimes a little bit afraid of bring their CVs or some notes when they have a face-to-face interview. So the good news here is when you have a virtual interview, you can bring whatever you want, even your special teddy bear, you know, to give you some luck. So people won't see that. So bring your notes with you, like your CV with all the notes. So then you are going to make sure that you have all the script, all the things that you want to pass in the interview with you. So just be careful where you place it, obviously, because people don't want to see you looking
like
down.
that. Or something on the wall. Or there. Yeah, I think it's
That's
more like
true.
a help for you. So if you have some keywords, some short phrase or something to help you, but you won't be able to read the full document during the interview because the other person will notice that. So some material that will help you, but some phrases, some hints, or if you need to check a date on your curriculum, then you can quickly say, okay, let me check it. Oh, it was 2015. But it's just a support. You're not supposed to be reading anything during the interview. The interview is happening here. This is the connection we want to have. Don't get distracted with a lot of papers around, because that's going to make you feel more nervous instead of making you calmer. Yeah.
That's true. Absolutely. So that is very important, like to bring some keywords as notes, right, in your CV, or maybe even in your desktop, like in a Word document.
Yeah.
Just as Juliana said, so if you can maybe have a look at it and maybe get back on track, you know, or if you want to check a date or something.
But it's just a help. It's not a script for the interview. Yeah. And Karine,
that's right.
What is the main difference between doing an online interview, a virtual interview, or doing a personal interview? Like, what the recruiter really wants to get from a candidate during a virtual or online interview?
Yeah, that's actually a great question, right? So if we think about it, it's hard to say, because it's actually one of the things that I would be looking for in an interview in any ways, right? So if I am doing a virtual interview or a face-to-face interview, I'm gonna look for the same thing, which is the basics. So as I said, obviously it does matter, the clothes that they're dressing, the way that they come across.
But that would matter in a personal interview also. That's the same thing, right? The appearance,
that's the same.
The way you approach, the way you communicate.
But
personal
if
interview or virtual interview, same thing.
Yeah, the same thing, because if they don't bring in information for me that they are prepared for the interview, if they don't know the name of the company, so sometimes they don't even know how to pronounce the name of the company, they don't know the company name sometimes. So these are the details that we want to see from the interview. Doesn't matter if it is a virtual interview or face-to-face interview. So just be prepared to understand the company, to understand the clients, to understand the job requirements. So the role that you are taking part in the selection process, right? So this is still very important. So I would say that we as a recruiter, we look for the same. So we look for
Spoiler, yes.
Yeah.
Spoiler. What a recruiter is looking for in a virtual or online interview is exactly the same thing he's looking for in a face-to-face interview. He wants to know you as a candidate and see if there is a match between the position and between the candidate. So nothing different, nothing hidden, nothing more complex, just that there is a screen between us and we need to deal with that. So we should release some unnecessary stress about it and identify the aspects that if they happen during online interview, some mistakes, some small problems, they won't really cost me the job. So for example, what if there is some kind of interruption? Imagine we are talking here and then somehow someone comes by and open the door or call my name or something like that. It doesn't necessarily mean I'm done, I was eliminated from the interview, right? Or maybe the doorbell will ring and I cannot control that. Maybe there is a noise from the neighbor, something like that. We cannot control that. So if those small interruptions happen, in my opinion, the most important thing is that you keep calm. You as a candidate, keep calm. Just control the situation. So tell the person, I'm busy, sorry. Or apologize to the recruiter, sorry about the doorbell. I was not planning, I was not expecting. Breathe and concentrate again, like don't lose your track because of that, right? Go back to that. And I think it also shows that you can handle interruptions in the real life, because let's be real here. It's gonna happen also during your daily routines when you are working for the company, right? Interruptions will happen, people will talk to you, a file will fall on the floor, you're gonna miss some information, but the way you handle that also tells you about you as a candidate. So
that's true. And it's actually called resilience, right? So the way that we are able to adapt to a stressful situation. So obviously, like if the dog is barking and this is out of your control, right? But you can say, I'm sorry, let me just close the window here. So, and then it's done, right? So these are small things that can happen. For example, oh, just excuse me, I'm just gonna plug in here the charger.
And you are back on track. You minimize the problem, the distraction as much as you can. You cannot stop the dog barking, but you can definitely close the window and you're back to the interview. But there are some things that you can definitely avoid, right, before a job interview. So you mentioned the charger. Don't go for a job interview without charging your device, and also have it plugged into the electricity. So in case the battery run out for some reason, you're already charged. So if you completely run out of a battery during the interview, that can cost you the job, because it clearly shows that you didn't prepare for it before. You didn't organize yourself before to charge it. Or if there are people passing behind you all the time, that clearly means that you didn't tell people that you live with that this is an important moment for you, that you need some quiet time there. So if the distraction keeps happening, not only that will show that you didn't take care of the environment, that you didn't prepare for it, but you probably won't be able to concentrate either, right? Because so many things happening around that you're going to get lost. So some things might cost you the job during an online interview, but you probably can handle that if you prepare enough before with anticipation. You can avoid those distractions. Right.
Absolutely. And it's easy to think like if maybe something happened and it will cost you just 1 second, 3 seconds. Okay, that's fine. But then if your phone keep buzzing, so you need to
do something about it.
To do something about it. That's true. So and the interviewer is going to understand, obviously, if there is one specific case. But if these keep happening, so if the dog won't stop barking, if the doorbell rings, if your laptop is not charged, so a lot of things going on. So this will show that you are not prepared for the interview. So be careful, because obviously we understand that things can happen. But if a lot of things are happening at the same time, something is wrong. Okay, so be careful.
I have seen all kinds of funny and weird stuff happening during the virtual interviews, the online interview. I actually have another video on my YouTube channel that you can check there and see. So I had candidates like doing Skype interviews at the time without t-shirt. So the hiring manager said, I don't want to hire the naked candidate. And I was like, what happened? The naked candidate, no t-shirt. I had cases that someone was whispering the answer to the candidate and I could hear the whisper. And at some point the guy was like, Daddy, stop saying I'm doing an interview. So that was very confusing. I had cases that another family person was coming and just to say hi, I want to say hi to the interviewer. So yeah, people answering the phone during the interview and talking for like minutes. And I was like, what shall I do? You know, so clearly the interview was not the priority, but the phone call was instead. So all those things we can avoid, definitely. And that's what we should focus. Focus on the things you can control. Focus on the preparation, get ready, know the company, understand why you are a good fit, and don't let the screen or the headphones or this kind of awkward situation, which is talking to the camera, be a stop for you towards getting your job. That's how job interviews will happen probably for the next years until we find something better, but this is the tendency right now. So I really thank you, Karine, for all your expertise, for sharing, you know,
my pleasure.
all those years of experience, not only recruitment, but also doing virtual interviews and preparing candidates to succeed. So it's a very nice job that you do helping people. And I hope you can help with this video, more people to prepare and to nail their next job interview. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So it was a pleasure to be here. And if any questions as well, like I would be very glad to respond and to help people. So just leave the comments here.
Yeah, I'll leave your contacts on the comments so people can connect with you. Yeah. So if you like this content, apart from checking the comments to get Karine's contact, click like, follow the channel, and come back next week for more content related to career, to job search, to job interviews, to remote work, and all things related to finding a job that makes you happy. Oh, let's do a high five. Yay!